let's bring in Alex Rodriguez, who really has done a great job on the Fox pre- and post-game. And, Alex, I know your time is short, so let's get right to it. Do you think Chapman is going to be adversely affected by the innings that he's pitched in the last couple of games?
Well, you can't guarantee that, Michael, but I got to tell you, it doesn't help. We were sitting there watching him in the seventh inning warm up, and I know I couldn't believe my eyes. You have to have guys in the pen who can get you 3 outs before they get 5 runs, and I thought it was incredibly important to keep Chapman as fresh as possible.
And you also said earlier in the series, Alex, being a teammate of his, not that he's a diva, but he expects certain things. He wants to pitch 1 inning, come in with nobody on base, and that's just how he's programmed. Now, he's done a good job, but now you're asking him to do things that he's never done before.
I mean, yes. Unlike Miller, who's touch and feel and finesse and throws, over 50% of his pitches, sliders. Chapman's a guy that's thrown 62 pitches and 4 innings in his last 2 appearances, and he's probably thrown about 40 pitches over 100 miles an hour. So he's not a 400 runner. If he was a track meet guy, he runs 100 meters, and the up and down is what concerns me most.
Alex, with all hands on deck, can you see a scenario in which Madden might go to Chapman in a non-save situation without the intention of pitching him the rest of the game? Say bases loaded, 2 outs, lefty up, 4-1 lead, just asking Chapman to maybe get them out of the 6th inning without asking him to get a long save. Could he do that?
Yeah, look, I think today all the rules come off the table. I think Chapman, whatever restrictions he would have, in a Game 6, especially in a Game 7, whatever you want to use him for, it's just a chess match tonight. And if you think the biggest matchup is in the 5th inning, then go for it. But to me, yesterday was such a, I thought both teams won yesterday. Obviously, the Cubs won 9-3, but the Indians forcing Joe Madden's hand, or sort of forcing his hand, to bring in Chapman into the game, I thought was a big win. Now they have Kluber, and they have the best bullpen in the game, rested and ready to go today.
Now, a lot of people are conjecturing, Alex, that, John Lester's available, and obviously he is available. As you said, all hands are on deck. But, Alex, can you bring in John Lester in a tight Game 7 when he cannot control the running game?
I think you have to be very selective, and that's a great point, Michael. I think the order in an ideal world for Joe Madden and Cubs Nation is Kyle Hendricks, John Lester, and then Chapman. You have to be selective because I agree. I mean, if you bring in, you can't close the game with John Lester for exactly that reason. In 2 pitches, if you get a runner on first, a pinch runner, he's going to be at third before, he throws his 3rd pitch, and that's a problem with a 1-run lead.
Now, can you afford to bring Lester in without bringing Ross in to catch him?
That's another great question. I mean, look, I'm in the mindset. Look, the Cubs, Don, they averaged 140 pitches per game. To me, the most undervalued asset is game calling. And for me, David Ross tonight would be the catcher. I just think it's too important, too vital. Contreras has had a couple pass balls. And by the way, Ross has done a really nice job swinging the bat. He can bunt, and he had an enormous sacrifice fly in Game 5.
Do you think there'll be any adverse effects, Alex, on Corey Kluber, again pitching on short rest?
I don't think so, Michael, because you have a rested bullpen. The other thing is, Game 1 and 4, I've never seen this before. He was a tale of 2 pitches. Game number 1, it was all power, fastball. He had that incredible hit ball. He looked like Kevin Brown. Game 4, he was all touch and finesse, and he used to wipe out sliders as his out pitch. He looked more like a young David Cone. So tonight the question is, which Corey Kluber shows up? Maybe a mix.
All right, now 2, 3, 4, 5 in the Cubs order went off yesterday. Now, did they go off because they were bad pitches? Can they be cooled off again, or now is the confidence there that they can even hit Kluber if Kluber's on?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. Before the game, I said yesterday, World Series and late October baseball is all about a competition of fundamentals and discipline. And I thought so far the Indians, to yesterday, had done a nice job of both. Last night, you just can't give Tomlin, that team 28 outs, right? And they were out of the inning in the 1st inning, and that's a huge error. I mean, even though they don't put an error on the board, Tomlin just doesn't have that kind of stuff where you can just get outs. And to me, it was a combination of good hitting, bad defense, and just that opened up the floodgates for the Cubs.
All right, now you have played in a Game 7, Alex, and we all love Game 7s as fans, but is there pressure where it can actually adversely affect how you play because of the magnitude of the game?
Without a question, tonight you'll have 50 players on the field that are on the roster, and you have 2 managers. And for better or worse, something will happen in tonight's game that will affect you for the rest of your life. And that's the beauty of baseball. The other thing for me, Game 7 is the best day. Game 7 of the World Series is the best day in sports, simply because as a little kid, you always think about Game 7 of the World Series. But the other thing, it takes us almost 200 games to climb this mountain. So tonight's going to be an unbelievable day. I cannot wait for the first pitch.
All right, final thing. Does any team in your I know you'll make your pick on the pregame. Does any team have an edge?
I think it's the Indians because of Corey Kluber and because of the great rested bullpen, and of course the X factor. They have the best reliever in the world, and Andrew Miller. I picked Indians in 7. I can continue to that. Now, Michael, I have one request.
Okay.
If you were doing the game, how would you start the game with Dexter Fowler and Corey Kluber? What would be your call?
All right, I said Kluber's ready. Fowler's ready. Let's do it here in Cleveland. That's how I would do it.
I love it.
Anyway, Alex, you don't need us to tell you, but boy, you have been really, really great on the post. The whole post game's been great. Kevin and Pete and Frank and you. It's been fun to watch.
Thanks, guys, and enjoy the game.
All right, you too. Thanks for coming on. I know you're busy.